My name is Vivienne Wee. I'm going to be 67 soon, and I look after my mother and my mother's sister, that is my aunt. For my mother, it started when she had compression fracture, and my aunt, she's actually quite capable and she's mobile, but she's also disabled. She's been disabled since the age of 4 when she became totally blind. They have both had problems, and it took up more and more of my time. Easily more than 10 years, easily more than 10 years. Well, I keep all the bills. For example, yesterday I was just doing the accounting of all these bills, and then I have to also monitor the use of equipment, like whether my aunt has enough oxygen because she is on 24 hours oxygen, and then whether the equipment is still functioning, because everything has a shelf life and it doesn't last forever. There's a unpredictable dimension to caregiving, and sometimes things can happen and you have to ensure that all the pieces are in place and all the people are in place. The cost can be quite severe, especially when they are hospitalized. Yeah, there's quite a lot of out-of-pocket costs. At one time when my aunt was discharged from hospital, and I was not aware that her Medishield wouldn't cover outpatient care because the appointment for the outpatient care was made by the hospital. So I was really startled after she had a consultation. Her bill came to $700, and on top of that she had to take the ambulance because she's not mobile. So every time she goes to the hospital, or any outpatient consultation, she needs an ambulance, and the ambulance easily costs $200-300 for per trip. So luckily for me, I am doing research and writing and part-time teaching, so I can kind of arrange my time. It would be impossible to keep office hours. Yes, definitely I think caregivers should be treated as people who are doing the work of caregiving, because I had to acquire medical knowledge of the various medicines that they are taking. So once when my mother was hospitalized for low sodium, meaning that the sodium in her blood was actually getting too diluted, but the medicines that she was taking included a diuretic, and I had to bring this up to the attention of the ward doctor that she shouldn't be taking this medicine. This is not the only instance where I had to bring things up, and I'm a lay person. How can we be kind of conversant with all the requirements of whatever agencies there are? So there isn't a kind of like a one-stop shop. You really kind of like need to be quite knowledgeable, experienced, and skilled to be providing all this kind of care. When my aunt was very sick and then came out from the hospital, for one period we didn't have any helper. We had to get professional nurses to come in, private professional nurses, and it cost quite a bit of money. I mean, it can cost up to $900 a day, because there's a day shift and there's a night shift. Yeah, so definitely, if you are thinking that nurses are doing real work, definitely caregivers are doing real work. Luckily, I have there are 4 of us, so we have 4 siblings. I have 1 child. So what happens when I'm old? And what about people who have no children, right? So I mean, you're saying that only people who happen to have more children, and that was, now families are getting smaller. That's not going to work. There has to be a limit to filial piety. So if we have an aging population and more people need care, then as a society we have to think of this as a collective burden, not to be delegated to people one by one depending on their own capacity. Caregiving shouldn't be something that is just left to families to solve on their own, based on their own capacity, their own knowledge, and whatever they can throw into it. Because at the end of the day, if we are a society that cares for our older generation, as indicated by the fact that we have pioneer generation subsidies, then we should care for the elderly collectively as a society, rather than delegating it for families to solve by themselves, because that's very much what's happening.